Well, if your grocery bill feels higher these days, but your cart doesn't look fuller, you are not imagining it. The average family right now paying hundreds more each year for the exact same groceries. Of course, this is a mix of rising prices, but also shrinkflation, and that is according to a new analysis from Investors Observer. So joining us now to talk more about it is Senior Analyst Sam Bourgi. It's nice to have you again on the show, Sam. Good morning.
Good morning. My pleasure.
So walk us through how you conducted this survey and what you ultimately found.
Yeah, so I think a lot of Americans have been feeling the pinch from higher prices at the grocery aisle for the past several years. We really wanted to gauge how much, not just price increases, but shrinkflation has been eating into household budgets. So we analyzed various products, various product categories. We measured them based on size to determine really how much more are people paying. Most of us know that prices have gone up since COVID. We tried to benchmark against 2020 because the world has changed radically since then. What we found was that on average, U.S. families are paying about $741 more per year for the same groceries compared to 2020. But about $41 of that increase is hidden. It's hidden in the form of shrinkflation. So you pay more for a product that you think is the same size, but it's actually smaller. And you see this across the packaged goods industry, where you're paying more for a lot less, or for significantly less. So that's why the concept of shrinkflation is something that we wanted to study. It's been known in economics for a while, but since 2020, I think a lot of companies have become more emboldened to go the shrinkflation route.
You also looked at some very specific products and pointed them out here. I want to talk about Coca-Cola for starters. It's an Atlanta-based company. We love our Coke here, but what did you find about that?
Yeah, I love my Coke too. Regardless of the price, I'm going to be drinking it, so maybe I'm part of the problem. But what we found was that since 2020, Coca-Cola, the 2-liter bottle is up 48% in price. But if you actually look at the 12-pack is up 82%. So if you actually look at it on a cost per ounce, you're paying a lot more for the 12-pack. So that's just one example of how, depending on how the product is packaged, the price can be significantly different. So it depends on how you like to drink your Coke. I do prefer the 12-pack, so I'm paying 82% more compared to 2020. But if you buy the 2-liter, the actual rate of inflation is much less.
I will tell you my guilty pleasure every now and then, a pack of peanut M&Ms, and it's almost like a full-on line item in the budget these days. What did you find with the M&Ms?
Yeah, the same thing is with M&M's shrinkflation. So we saw that the price per ounce is up about 60 to 100% if you take a look at the price of M&M since 2020, while the size has actually declined by about 10 or 11%. So you're actually getting more per ounce when it comes to buying that candy. Again, it doesn't look obvious if you're actually at the grocery aisle and you want to buy a pack of M&Ms, but if you actually weigh it, you're getting a lot less product for it.
Sam, any brands that deserve a pat on the back for not shrinking the product these days?
Well, it seems like ice cream brands aren't doing so. I mean, the ice cream brand are just telling you, yeah, we have to raise prices, we're going to raise prices. So, for those of us who love ice cream, that's been less of an issue. I think anything packaged, packaged snacks, packaged candies, cereal, chips and snacks, those are the real areas that we have to look for when it comes to managing our budgets and seeing where shrinkflation is showing up the most.
I want to dig a little more into the economics of this. And your report found that companies often will raise the prices first, shrink the product later. Why do it in that order?
Yeah, I think that's just based on how they prioritize things. I think, when prices feed through the supply chain, the first thing that happens is the price goes up because there's an immediate need to hike the price. If your input costs go up, the first knee-jerk reaction is going to be to increase the price of the product that you're selling to maintain margins, to maintain revenue, et cetera. And there's a certain segment you're also allowed to get away with. A lot of consumers are expecting prices to go up. But I think a lot of times the companies go back and look at the books to see how they can optimize their supply chains, how they can optimize their products. They'll then shrink the package even more. So price goes up first, as you mentioned, followed by the reduction in the actual quantity as they continue to look at how the price increases has been impacting their business. A lot of times it seems like the price hikes aren't enough to offset rising costs elsewhere, and there's only so much they can raise before consumers kind of tap out. So the workaround is to raise it but then to shrink the product to make sure you don't have to raise it even more.
I mean, I'm certainly going to notice if the price is raised on a product that I buy repeatedly, but do you think consumers are also starting to notice the shrinkage?
I think they are. We have some behavioral studies that show people are noticing them. I've been noticing them since I was a kid at the candy store aisle. The chocolate bar is smaller than it used to be. So I think a lot of people now are starting to buy more in bulk. Things like Costco are obviously a very, very popular places to shop. But I think going the bulk route is one way in which people are kind of trying to go around the shrinkflation issue. You buy products that are cheaper in bulk, can help you, navigate that particular issue.
Do you think this trend will continue, or at some point are consumers going to put their foot down and producers have to answer to the angry mob?
Well, I think for the foreseeable future, I think it's going to continue. It's been continuing now for decades. We're noticing it more since COVID. The issue right now is that inflation is very sneaky. People don't really ascertain it until they actually step back and look at how much they've paid since 2020. So, for example, everyone now is talking about inflation being 3%, minus the oil spike and everything. But that's just the inflation rate over the past 12 months. If you go back to 2020, the actual cumulative inflation rate is something like 25-26%, and that's just using the CPI. So I think that as prices go up, costs are going to be passed on to consumers, and I think it's going to continue for the foreseeable future. There are ways people can go around it. I think, budgeting accordingly, maybe using, store brands as opposed to name brands. There are ways you can kind of, try to, mitigate the impact. But for now, I think consumers are going to be left paying the tab.
Well, I think you kind of answered my final question there is what advice do you have for folks to save money? I mean, anything else you want to add this morning, Sam?
One thing is, new look packaging. A lot of companies will take a look at, we have this new package, new logo, everything. Well, that's usually, a particular indicator that, the package may have actually shrunk. So you should also try to avoid what we call convenience sizes, mini cans, snack packs. Those tend to have the worst value. And if you like Coke, as we talked about earlier, a 2 liter is going to get you more bang for your buck than the 12 can. It might taste flat after you first open it, but it's a lot cheaper if you enjoy drinking Coke over an extended period.
Sam, we appreciate the advice. We last saw you around Easter time talking about how Easter is going to be more expensive, and now you're saying shrinkflation's a real deal. We're going to have you on some time to talk about some good news. Sound good?
I hope so. I'm looking forward to that.
Well, we appreciate your analysis and helping us make sense of everything, making us smarter consumers. Hope you have a great day, sir.